Yeah, because of stomping on them bitter.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back once again to Vicious Rants. And of course, I am your host, to Messiah, not imitator, never duplicated, superstar to understand. We're gonna go over SummerSlam, the biggest party in the summer, as they say. It was in Detroit, Michigan, and well, excuse me. Let's get into the show. First match of the night, it was the walking douche nozzle himself, Logan Paul, against Ricochet. And, well, I gotta tell you, this one slapped, man. This one was all good. I dug it. It was a lot. It was very high octane, fast paced action, right kind of match that you want to start a show and get the crowd hyped up. It was decent, nice feeling out at the start. Paul, he was pretty much leading the pace with Ricochet building up a nice comeback. It was a decent match, like I said, man. I don't like the guy, Logan Paul. I don't like him. And I'm not going to sit here and be like any other fuckhead out there with access to the internet and just constantly talk about hours on end why I don't like the guy. No, I just don't. I get it that he's an attraction piece. No different than when they had Cain Velasquez. No different than when they got literally any other celebrity in there, or like a Kim Kardashian, or even when they had Pee Wee Herman, or millions, or not millions, upon hundreds of other celebrities that they brought in. I get it. I do. I don't like the guy that they brought in, but sometimes you gotta roll with the punches and take the good with the bad. So as far as the ending of the match went, Ricochet, he was building up a comeback. He drug Paul over to the corner. He was climbing up to go and do a 630. Paul grabbing onto his legs, trying to buy some time. Ricochet just like, kicked him off, went up, went to do 630, misses. Paul rolls where his one hand is out of the ring. And on the commentary, Michael Cole said it was some guy that works with Paul. They never showed the dude's face, but dude slid brass knucks onto Paul and then caught him with a punch and then got the 1, 2, 3. And I'm just gonna say this now. People were comparing that to when one William Regal would use brass knucks. I say nay. Because here's the reason why. Paul used it because he needed to secure the win. Regal used it because he was a proper villain and just used it because of the simple fact that he wanted to. That he could. If you don't, that was it. That was all. There was a huge difference. So, next matchup after that, it was Brock Lesnar versus Cody, and oh dear God almighty, this was a hell of a match. I absolutely fucking loved it. Cody went and attacked Brock right before the bell rang. After that, Brock began manhandling Cody like you would not believe. Shades of when it was Lesnar versus Cena, I think in like 16 or 17, around in that era. It was the match when it was the Cena-Lesnar match where they retired the big gold belt. But either way, it reminded me so much of that, just looking at the psychology on it, like, my God, he is just fucking he's just letting him go to town on him. He referring to Cody and him referring to Brock. Pronouns, pal. And it was just, my God. Like, whoa. Cody's just letting him do whatever he wants. Good God. And it was just like amazing seeing it. And it got to the point where at one point, Brock F5'd Cody onto the table, and you could hear Michael Cole on the commentary say, Cody, just stay down, kid. And that, I'm pretty sure he was speaking for everyone watching the match at that point. Like, dude, just stop. Stop! You're half past fucking dead. Come on, what are you gonna do from here? Good God, man. But I dug it. It was at Cody. He built up a comeback. He wound up hitting 3 crossroads to get the win. And then at the end, after the match, Brock, completely unplanned, and it was said during the post-show press conference, it was completely unplanned. Brock went over to Cody, gave the code of honor, raised his hand, and gave him credit where credit was due. At no point in time can I recall at any point when Brock, whether it was when he was in WWE or in UFC, has he ever wanted to go and do the code of honor like that? You know? And it was just like, and if I'm wrong, feel free to say something down below. I got zero problem admitting when I'm wrong. But best to my recollection, I don't recall Brock ever doing it. But it was damn good. Now, the following night on Raw, Cody came out, didn't gloat, but basked in the fact that, you know, he did that. And, well, we'll get into more on that in a minute. Into what followed up on that in a minute. But now we come to the Slim Jim Battle Royal, which was, well, they had 25 of the guys go in the ring. And the big surprise entries were, honestly, there was a surprise entry, which was Omos, which, honestly, did not have that called. Did not call that whatsoever. Didn't predict that whatsoever. And, yeah, you know, I wish I could say I didn't have that on my bingo card, but if you go back and watch the this year's WrestleMania episode, I officially said my wrestling bingo card for 2023, rip and thrown away, because so many things in that one I did not expect. It's just, yeah. Between January and April, so much shit happened I didn't expect or predict. I officially just tore up my bingo card and gave up. I gave up for the year on predictions. So yeah. Decent battle royal. A lot of Omos wound up doing a majority of the eliminations. He eventually got taken out, but honestly, the big win came from LA Knight taking out Sheamus. Yeah, dummy. Yeah, that's not a shock, and that is not an insult. That is just a fact of life. The following night on Raw, Miz had an issue about with LA Knight not only winning, thinking he's hot shit, winning the battle royal, but was saying that, you know, basically saying LA Knight was like a flash in the pan and he's not going to last. And then Knight proceeded to go and counter it, saying that he is and this is his game. And then them two had a little bit of a scuffle, so we're probably going to get something between them two down the road. So next up we got Ronda versus Shayna in a MMA rules match, which the only way you could win is by tap out, submission, or knockout, which the second they emphasized that, my first thought was, okay, so who's going to try and cheat and use a weapon? I'm going to tell you right now, no weapons were involved. Now there was a little bit of a scuffle outside of the ring, but that was it. But much to my surprise, no weapons. Also, really cool surprise, I gotta say, Shayna Baszler having Warhammer 40k gear. She, you know, so cool. Now, I'm gonna also, this just felt kind of weird to watch, you know? It felt like I was watching a worked fight, like a worked MMA fight, and it was just like, okay. And you could hear the crowd just like go deaf. You know, it was almost like it, and I hate using this analogy because God, Lord knows it is not meant in an insultive way, but it was almost like seeing a modern day brawl for all, like, what the fuck? Huh? Now, I will say this though, the pace, it started out slow, but the pace picked up halfway through the match, and then it was like zing, clear, boom, and the crowd woke up. At least that's on how it felt to me. And then, yeah, it was a decent enough. Shayna got the win by choking out Ronda. Ronda then just looked all beaten, like, what? I lost. And, you know, right then, and then it just felt like we needed to say it. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. So, Ronda's gone. Toodles. No, I thought I was going to miss her for a minute. It's just indigestion. Excuse me. Next up, Drew McIntyre versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. And holy shit nuts. This was a straight up fucking... This was so fucking physical. Dude, I can't put it any other way. You want to talk about two big old meaty men having meat and a meat slapping meat kind of fight. This was it. Good God. Like, you could feel, like, I felt it in my soul. I felt it in my soul anytime Gunther or Drew chopped each other. And I'm just like, oh. It was just so, God, man, I can't put it any other way. It was just so freaking physical. I loved it. I loved it. It was violence. It was physical violence. Not like violence, nasty weapon kind of violence. It was just like straight up violence. Physicality violence. And I loved it. Gunther got the end when Gunther, he was sitting on the ropes. Drew, he climbed up. And then Gunther pushed him off, and Drew wound up splitting the difference on the ropes. He came down. Gunther then, Gunther then did a splash, got him with a lariat, and then did a power bomb, got the 1, 2, 3. So you're a winner and still Intercontinental Champion Gunther. Now on the following night on Raw, they did show that Ricochet, Tommaso Ciampa, Chad Gable, and Matt Riddle competed in a fatal 4-way to determine the new #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. And much to surprise, Chad Gable got the win. And it wasn't a surprise, it wasn't a surprise so much so that Gable won, but it was so much so that Gable won and it was in his home city. Gasp! I thought WWE talent didn't win in their home cities. Plot twist! See? It's freaking out the people that handle the lighting for the show. Guys, seriously, come on. Cheap labor, you get what you pay for. Moving forward, next up we got Finn Balor versus Seth Elizabeth Rollins, because his middle name is not freaking, damn it. And this was a good match. Had a nice little small brawl before the bell. Finn, he was working on Seth's shoulder. Really good storytelling with the match. Finn coming out with 7 written on his shoulder, talking about the 7-year itch. Talking about it's been 7 years since he busted his shoulder when his match against Rollins at SummerSlam. Seth came out wearing the vest that he wore in that match just as a psychological game to Finn. And at one point in the match, Finn actually did a running powerbomb to Seth into the same corner that Finn busted his shoulder in. So that was really cool. I dug that. Now at one point Judgment Day came out. Guys, seriously, come on. Come on, guys, for real? This is what I get for hiring cheap labor. Non-union guys. Anyways, at one point Judgment Day came out. And they were trying to help him run interference. And then at one point, Priest slid the briefcase in, was trying to tell Finn, use it. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This isn't part of the plan. This isn't part of the plan. That's not what we have planned. And then when he goes to, then next thing you know, Seth then goes, knocks him out, and then does a stomp onto him with the case for the 1, 2, 3. So you're a winner and still World Heavyweight Champion Seth Elizabeth Rollins. So following up on Raw, as Cody was doing his promo, then Seth came out saying, now last time we were in the ring together, was after I won this, and you interrupted me, so I only thought it was fair I'd do the same for you. What did you have in mind? So just as Cody was about to speak, then the Judgment Day came out, and then they proceeded to start going and doing a beatdown on. Then Priest gloated over on how he's Senior Money in the Bank. Judgment Day runs Monday Night Raw. And then Dom talked about on how he's defending his NXT North American Championship on Tuesday. He's still got issues with Cody, and that, and that they're not done with Seth anytime soon. And then they proceeded to a brawl. Sammy came out to help run interference. Then Sammy proposed a trios match. Partway through the night, the human Funko Pop, JD McDonough, wound up attacking Sammy, busted up his elbow, where his elbow literally looked all swelled up like he had a little mini golf ball right here sticking out of it. So Sammy got taken out of the match. Nakamura volunteered to be in the match, so he was doing double duty on Raw. Fast forward to the main event of Raw. That match happened, and Sammy actually came out to run some interference, which helped the faces get the win. And then Sammy played peacemaker, making sure Seth and Cody got along and were on the same page. And then after everything was done, Nakamura then attacked Seth. So I did not expect a Nakamura turn. I am happily pleased. I am also extremely pleased that we are going to have a potential Seth versus Nakamura match down the road. Score. So next up, we got women's action. Charlotte going against Asuka. Asuka going against Bianca. Needed heart pills for this. You'll hear more on why. Now, I cannot stress this enough. Everyone, everyone sizing each other up at the start, man. Really good. And I absolutely loved it. It was a great match. A lot of good moving. A lot of great pace and flow for the match. And at one point, Bianca, she got taken out of it for a small bit. Looked like she was legit hurt. She got thrown over, and all you hear is, ah! And then the slam on the stairs. And then you just see Bianca grabbing the knee. Ah! Like she's legit hurt. You see the ref, yo, call it. Like it's legit. And then, so you see trainers come out, and this is what made me think it was legit up until it wasn't. They pulled the camera away from it. The second they pull a camera away from an injury, that's when you go and you're saying, okay, yeah, that's serious. All right. But they did. They pulled the camera away from Bianca and focused on it just being Charlotte versus Asuka. Which, okay. And then as Bianca's about a good bit way up the walkway, she's just like, no, I'm going to do this. And hobbled her ass on down and worked the rest of the match. Match came to an end when Charlotte had Bianca locked into the figure 8. And then Asuka wound up doing the miss to Asuka did the miss to Charlotte, and then as she did that, then Asuka went for a roundhouse kick on Bianca. Bianca ducked, and then rolled Asuka up for the 1-2-3, and then so Bianca won literally she was a one-legged woman in an ass-kicking contest at that point in time, and won in a triple threat match. Then the inevitable happened. Io's music came down, her and Bayley ran down, cracked the briefcase over Charlotte, over Asuka, then Io cashed in. Then they slammed the briefcase into Bianca's knee, cashed it in. Io goes up, does a moonsault ever so beautifully as she does, and then pins 1, 2, 3. So your winner and new WWE Women's Champion, Io Sky. And to help celebrate the triumphant return was none other than Dakota Kai. So all of Damage Control is back as they should be, and Io won. Now I'm really hoping for an Asuka EO match at some point. Now we come to main event of the night. Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. Tribal combat, and good God almighty, this was a great match. Now I'm going to say this now. Some people were saying the Bloodline story isn't as hot as it was at WrestleMania. Well, here's the thing. And this goes with any kind of story, whether you're reading something as simple as Cat in a Hat, whether you're telling a story, or not reading, but telling a story as simple as like a Cat in a Hat kind of story, or telling a story as complex as what you're doing now with the Bloodline. You gotta have, excuse me, you gotta have peaks and valleys. You gotta have ups and downs. You can't just redline it then non-stop for the entire story. You gotta give pause. You gotta give chance to let people breathe and take in some of the emotions of what happened. You know? So, yeah. But man, it's still the story. Now, is it as hot as it was at WrestleMania? No. But is it still hot? Yes. That's the point I'm getting at. So, with that said, man, as far as this went, Roman, he was leading at the start. And Jey, he started to show a little bit of life for about a cup of coffee. But man, it did not last long. Solo came out to go and help Roman. They went to go do the spike spear. As they go to, Jey then slides Solo over, and then Roman spears Solo, and then just kind of brushes it off, and then starts going back at Jey, and then at one point Solo just gets up in Roman's face. What's up with that? What's up with that? Really? We just gonna pretend that didn't happen? Basically looking at him like that, like what? And then just kind of left it at that. And then Solo's just like, fuck this shit, and left. So, as far as the ending went, Jey, he wound up hitting a splash, and he wound up getting a small reprieve of a comeback, hit a splash, and then went for the pin. 1, 2, drug out of the ring. Mysterious figure in black pants and a black hoodie. Who could it be? Lifts up the hood, and it's Jimmy. His brother Jimmy shows up, picks up Jey, and super kicks him several different times, and then tosses him back in the ring. Roman then gets him and then spears him through a table that was propped up into a corner for 1, 2, 3. So your winner and still WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion, as well as the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. As also, if you really want to look at it and just think about it storytelling wise, you look at it, you could see inch by inch, nick by nick, Roman is getting closer and closer to defeat. You just look at it and you can see. You know, I don't know if you pay attention to this stuff, but you look back at it. You look over the past few years with Roman's wins. It gets to the point to where it's like, all right, he's getting closer and closer to losing, man. So, his armor, for a really crappy analogy, the impervious armor he's got is wearing down. So, yeah. So, with that said, folks, that is it for this week's show. So please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, go back, watch some of the episodes when you can. Look for me on the Twitter at Tim Vicious. Also on that thread, John Tim Vicious as well. I'm trying to put more stuff out there as much as I can. It's just handling so many different things at once. Sometimes I get a little lost in the sauce. Also, thank you to my executive producer, Ali Ray Ben, who did provide the music for this week's show. Make sure you check that out. It's on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, all that good shit. Details are damn you though. Guys, for real, seriously, we're doing the closing. Also, thank you to contributor of the show, LFC Lingerie Fighting Championship. There are a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of MMA, and a whole lot of attractive women. We're not a little bit of nothing. Don't forget they're on Tubi. Tubi. It's free. You cannot you can't get a better price than free. Also, don't forget to check out wordmaneuver.net for some vicious rants apparel. Help support the show. Thanks to you guys, we were able to get an air conditioning unit in the Vicious Studios with back to school season, as well as a few birthdays and Christmas coming up. Some Vicious Rants apparel purchasing some Vicious Rants apparel would really help out. So folks, like I always tell you, you love me great, you hate me. Fuck you.